It's a new week, which means we got a new episode of Daredevil Born Again. This time it's episode 4, and this is going to be my spoiler-free and spoiler review. Before I start it, go ahead and go down below in the comment section. Tell me your guys' spoiler-free thoughts, and then if you got any spoilers, do big spoiler warning just for anyone who's coming here just to watch the spoiler-free version. And then tell me the spoilers and all those thoughts. And while you're down there, subscribe and hit the like button, hit the bell so you never miss another Daredevil Born Again episode review. And with that said, Daredevil Born Again episode 4 is good. It's a lot better than the first 2 episodes, but I don't think it's as good as episode 3. Because episode 3 had that shock factor. It had the ending where you're so shocked and surprised at what happened. And then this episode just kind of follows up on that. A lot of complaints I've been seeing off people on Twitter was just the show's taking too long to get going. Now, I disagree with that. I like a nice slow burn, easing into Matt's life, and then him going back into Daredevil. I personally think the show's paced pretty well, but this is the episode that just kind of gets us from episode 3 to, I'm going to assume, what's going to happen in episode 5, that I'll talk more about in the spoiler section of it. So it's good. We got great moments here. There's a fantastic scene of dialogue in here. You'll definitely know it when we get to it. Got me excited to see where that aspect of the episode was going to go later on in the season. But besides that, I really don't have many spoiler-free thoughts. I just thought the episode was fine. I thought it was a good episode, much better than the first 2 episodes, but definitely wasn't near as good as episode 3 was. And I'm excited to see where episode 5 goes. It feels kind of like a bridge episode to get us from episode 3 to what's going to happen in episode 5. It sets up so many plot lines, and all the plot lines, I'm excited to see where they go. But I can't talk about a lot of it without giving it spoilers, so I like the episode, just not as near as good as episode 3, and I am very excited for episode 5. And with that said, spoilers in 3, 2, 1, spoiler time! And the big thing with the show, the big thing in the episode that you're going to think of is the Punisher and Daredevil dialogue sequence. Because it's an amazing sequence. It's a fantastic sequence. Matt goes to try to find the killer of the White Tiger and finds Punisher, who didn't do it. But they have a fantastic sequence about that he thinks Matt wants his permission to do something dangerous. And then have this whole dialogue about Foggy where it's like, Bullseye got life. Did Foggy get life? And it's a fantastic scene of dialogue, handles all the emotions. Now, a lot of people on Twitter are calling it one of the best scenes of dialogue in the MCU. I wouldn't necessarily agree with that. I don't even think it's one of the best scenes of dialogue in the Daredevil show as a whole. But it's really good. It's a really good sequence, and we get to see Punisher. And I really hope he comes back later in the show. And like I said in the spoiler-free part, it's like a whole episode of a bridge. You know, like we're trying to figure out what happened to Hector. And then at the end of the episode, it's like, you know what? I gotta be Daredevil. It doesn't do anything monumental, but start to set up what we're getting in episode 5. And these are all plotlines that I'm excited for in episode 5. The Punisher and Daredevil scene was fantastic. But going into this episode, it feels like it's more trying to get us excited for episode 5, where we might be going into the Daredevil stuff. We also find out that Kingpin is actually holding Vanessa's boyfriend, who, I don't think I've talked about this in my review series so far. Vanessa cheated on Kingpin with Adam, and we thought Adam just got let go. Well, at the end of the episode, we realized Kingpin is keeping Adam in a locked box. That's interesting. Interesting stuff, Kingpin. And don't really know where the plotline's going to go with that, but I'm eager to see what's going to happen with that. Also with Kingpin, there's a leak. He finds out that there's a leak because a bad news report comes out about him, and he confronts the guy who did it. It's the guy that's been helping him with his campaign. And so he just kind of lets him go, you know, Fisk turning over a new leaf. It's kind of nice to see. And Vincent D'Onofrio makes every single scene really intense. That scene was really intense. I thought he was for sure going to kill him, but then he didn't. And, you know, I'm completely fine with that because Fisk turning over a new leaf. And then you get a little bit of his darker side where we see he locked up Adam. All that stuff is really, really interesting. Also, Matt's taking on a new client. It's some dude who stole a couple boxes of caramel corn from a grocery store, and he tries to get out of jail, tries to get out of couple weeks since, but it doesn't work. Don't really know where that plotline is going. It just kind of felt like a lawyer plotline to get us there. But the whole theme of that plotline was, I'm not going back to jail. You don't know what it's like to be oppressed. So it felt kind of random to kind of throw it in there, but I don't know. We'll see where that goes. I don't know if it's going to continue, if it's just kind of like the lawyer part of this episode. So a lot of things I did like, specifically the Punisher and Matt dialogue scene. Going into the Punisher and Matt dialogue scene kind of felt kind of random that he found Punisher, if I'm going to be honest. Like, yeah, he goes in the street, finds a bullet, and he's like, oh, hi, Punisher, you've just been here the whole time? And so, a little bit random there. A little bit of a weird way to get from point A to point B. But it doesn't matter because the scene we got is incredible. It is a pretty fantastic scene. But, yeah, I thought this episode was good. At the end of the episode, we learn that Daredevil is coming back. He starts doing ninja stuff on the roof. So, cool. Episode 5 is where we're going to head into all that. Episode 5 is where we're going to get the actual really cool, really awesome Daredevil stuff. And I'm here for it. I cannot wait for episode 5. Because I feel like with episode 4, I'm just kind of like pushing pins and needles to try to find something to talk about. Because, like I said numerous times in this video, felt like we're getting from point A to point B, and this episode is the bridge between all that. So, good episode, better than the first 2 episodes, but not as near as good as episode 3. Alright, thank you guys for clicking on this spoiler-free spoiler review. Stay tuned till next week for episode 5. I'm going to assume that that's going to be the best episode of the bunch so far. And with that said, stay tuned and subscribe.